So hello everyone, I'm Machala or Hamza. I work in MSD as a software engineer, full stack, JavaScript, TypeScript composer, and today I would like to show you some different approach with random data and how to improve the tests over time. And I have one question for you. Do you like writing tests?
Of course, yeah.
Okay,
I'm
so
serious.
who is writing tests here actually? Okay, is anything from that unit test? Okay,
All of it.
you all have hands, that's great. What you don't like on writing the unit tests? What do you hate on it? Is there something?
Side effects.
Side effects. Okay.
Sometimes asynchronicity.
Asynchronicity.
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Okay. Yes.
How can I put it? Like, now someone else wrote the unit test. I would never do this. When they write a unit test where they like test the internals, not like the API, but how it's done.
Okay.
Because then it gets difficult to change.
And how do you feel when you need to change the implementation and you have some tests? It's easy? Is
Okay.
so maybe I will show you something. How to make it more fun. So basically what I found over the years is this kind of tests you can find in your code base maybe. It looks like this. You have some inputs, you have something what you test, and then you have the expectations. Did you wrote any tests like that? Do you have a lot of them? So you maybe know the problems with what are here, and it's basically there are some example data which fit and what generated the person who were writing the test, and they might not be even correct, or they are just, it's just some example, but the world is different and the emails have different variants and your tests maybe not cover it. So you have, your data are not real, it's actually somehow not ideal. And this kind of tests make it a little hard to extend it. It's challenge. So if I add into user one more field, I will need to also add it in the expect. Even the test is testing the department, but I will need to adjust the test because I added new field which is not actually so important in the test. Also the maintenance, someone mentioned it. So you forget the test and after 2 years you need to change something, and then your failing test starts to pop up, and when you want to change something simple, you will spend 10 times more on fixing the tests to actually make it stable. And if you have such tests and you have junior developers or just not experienced developers, what they will usually do if you give them a task to write a test, they will copy your test, change the code in the middle, and run the test, fix something else. And basically they made for you another kind of test which is hard to maintain. So I will have a link for a nice blog post in the links in the end. This is not about how to make a senior code base. Okay, so this is the example test. Any question to it? Everyone understands it's just the baseline. So I feel this is not good written test, just to be sure. So let's show some different challenge. Does anyone know property-based tests? Hands up, please. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, or quick check. Still just 3 hands. Okay. So this is kind of extreme case of writing tests, especially used in some functional languages or Haskell or more like functional variants. And what these kind of tests are, so you have, this is JavaScript, right? So there is some library called fastcheck, I will show you, and you write some assertion. You said on input you have a property, and you said, okay, on the input I have one integer and second integer, which starts from 0, and then I test that I am able to like summarize addition of with two numbers, and I expect that it would be greater than or equal a. So this is a way how you write a test. What it does when you run this test, that's the magic starts. So basically it will try to generate random number here, random number there, and then do the expect. And then it will do another iteration of the different inputs and expect. And it usually, when you run it by default, it runs 1,000 of iterations of the various inputs, and try to assert if all of them pass your tests. Do you follow? Yes? No? Okay, okay. So someone is still with me? Okay. And there is another test, so you will try the same, but you will, so basically this uses some mathematical basic that when you add one number and the second number, that the result is basically bigger than the first number or the second number, right? And this kind of test is trying to prove that it's mathematically correct. And you will have 1,000 of runs of this test case, which would find for you the bug. What it does, if there is a bug in the implementation, for example, you would be ignoring that it should be only positive numbers. If there will be some random number which would generate a failure, the fast check would try to find the first edge of the input which make it fail. So he would find -1 as the edge on the input and tell you, okay, so after 100 of iterations, I found that -1 is the input which is breaking your implementation. So please check your implementation. Still following? Okay, cool. And what is bad on this approach is that if you have some more complex logic here, or you test React components, or you have integration tests, or you have end-to-end tests, or anything which is slower than 10 milliseconds, then 1,000 iterations times 10 milliseconds, it's slow. It's slow unit test, and you will not run it all the time. And if you have more tests like this, you will spend a lot of time running your unit tests. So another problem is that the verification is problematic. I will show you the other one. It's good for some scientific or mathematical problems where you can leverage that, like a plus b, it's same like result minus b is a. So there is some like how to say, there are the way how you can prove that it's correct in different approaches. So for example, here you have adding the numbers, you take the result, and with another method you do result minus n, a. On the second you say, okay, so the b minus b is actually 0. And then you can run this with 1,000 or 10,000 iterations, and it will find for you a mistake, or that it will leak with the biggest integer in the JavaScript or something like that. Then it would find you the edges. It's nicely written in this blog post, which I will just briefly show you. This talk is not about this. It's written on what is the property based, example tests, this what I show you and ultimate with the scientific proof. Okay, so this is extreme case and not useful much. So let's compare it a little bit. So the example-based test will give you one test case and you will run it once and you verified only one combination of your inputs. If you use the property-based test, you will have basically 1,000 test cases because you have 1,000 of inputs in one run. So you test 1,000 combinations, but it's slow. So then there is the approach what I heavily use, or we heavily use, and I call it faker-based tests, and it will use a library called faker, which you know, I will ask later. So you will have one test case, but you will have 1,000 of runs, and still you will be able to have basically same combinations as the scientific variant of the property-based test. And how we can achieve that, it's basically I hope all use continuous integrations. So if you have some faker-based test, in a few days you actually run it 1,000 times. So if there would be one failure, you will get the error in like 1 day, 2 days, if there is a lot of developers in our. Okay.
You are cheating.
Maybe the numbers are not good.
1,000 rounds, you will have 1 million combinations for property-based testing.
Yes, you spotted. Yes, of course, but they are still slow, right? So you would not be able to have it. Okay. I'm happy that you are still with me and paying attention to my mistakes. And here it's the funny part, which is the best one. Live coding, everyone like it, right? It's a challenge for everyone.
If it works.
If it works. So I will do this. Do I have it? Yes, I have it. Okay, so here is an simple example. So we have some user service. It's just simple. It's just update user and just combines inputs. That's all. That's the whole implementation of it. We have also a type user, and then we have a test for it. We have actually a test which do the update of the department. Is everyone able to see it? Even from the back? Okay, not sleeping. So this is the test. I show it. I show it to you on the example, and then we have 2 not implemented tests. So if I run it, I hope it will work. Let's try it. No. Yes. Demo time. Failure. Passed. Cool. The test is passing. What is problematic here? If I have those tests many times, it will be just repeated a lot. So first approach, how to get rid of this repeated data in your inputs is just, you know, the code is also, the tests are also code, so you can use helpers. So you can just go and say, okay, let's do a helper, create user, I will use it in tests. Now, just little conversions and moving to some tests, helpers. Okay, yeah. Now we have a test. We know it returns user. There is a bug. No, it's not a bug. You can use a type system in your tests actually, so it's good to do it. I will do it later on. But what we can here, the test is now smaller. Just extracted the example out. Does it still pass? Yeah. So we passed first section. We simplified it with the inputs, and now we will try to implement second test, this one, should update division name. So it's not to do anymore. I will just add here some code. Basically copy paste all I have because I'm junior developer, but I am not copying the example. And we should change the division name. Okay, let's change it. And the division name would be ICT. ICT. Okay, I will run the test. Now the problem, the demo works. No, yes. No. Yes, nice. What is problem? The input is weird. It's not actually what I wanted because the create user is giving me department and IT services. That's interesting. So I have two options. I can go and change this globally used helper, and then I will need to fix all the other tests, or I can do some nice thing and actually take some data on the input, which will be object, and basically merge the examples which I have here with the data that I would provide on the input. What that means is that I can now basically put I can now do this. Am I right? Yes. I'm not sure now. Will it work?
You wanted to update the department.
Yes. Right. So yes, I create
The error is in line 46.
46.
Yeah.
Yeah, because department is different, so
You are still using the old division name.
This way. Right. But it's great there is so many people who can help me. So the tests are passing, and what I actually did is that we have still a department here as IT division name, but I override it here in the test because this test wants to have the ICT department. So now I can this helper use in all the tests and just override the internals. Why it's important? It will be important in next iteration. The problem with these tests that it's this part given it's fine for now. I don't need to touch it. When I don't change, but the expect. Problem with this expect is that if I add new attribute to user, I would need to adjust this expect, and the expect, the test is saying that it's testing division name. So why am I testing ID, username, email, country, and department? Yes.
small fix, you have to change the division name and update that data. You have ICT everywhere.
But I don't have it here.
It doesn't matter.
This
You
doesn't.
will create user with division name
Oh.
ICT. Then.
Okay, so I can maybe do it this way. Let's see.
Update now. Update The- data is the if- method if you are I then- testing. Update will not work. It will have no difference. You can.
Okay, I get it. So, what do you suggest? So I can put here the this way.
Yes.
Yeah. green. Okay, so there is another thing what is the problematic, and that's the assertion. The assertion is too concrete, which means harder maintenance. So what I can do instead of strict equal, I can do to match object and only take what is actually important, and that's the division name. If I do it, I will have much less in expect. The test is still passing. If I change the division name or the implementation of the updating, it would actually start shouting. I can do same also in the first, and our tests are slowly becoming much more easier to maintain. Is everyone still following? It's just, yeah, okay, cool. So tests are fine now. Let's move to different part. And this one is going to be much more funny. Now, I will show you the library called, PragueJS. Does anyone know it? 1, 2, 3. Wow, cool. Do you use it in the test? 1, 2, 3. Okay. So maybe tomorrow. So the library is generating random data. All the time. You can have some context-based data, so you can generate some financial data, locations, products, localization, or some other stuff. I can show you how it looks like. So you have like you can ask for the account name or lorem ipsum, credit card numbers, food, airplanes, persons. You can generate like all your family there with all the products that they use in just a few seconds or milliseconds. What is good this library for? It's really generating random data, but you can still replicate the data for the randomness. Okay, so what we will do now, because now our tests are now independent of the examples, so now I can go into create user and use the faker instead of these concrete examples. Okay, so let's do it. So I will assign, little refactor, because I want to make it nicer, so it would be like fake data. Does it work? And yeah, little adjustment to fix the OCD. And what? Still not done. Okay, and I can tell it's a user. And now I see that the type actually does not have user, and I'm passing it, so that's basically bug in my tests. I'm passing there much more values than I should, so let's up the ID. And basically the type system now saved me some potential issue. It works, cool. And now, the funny part, let's replace it with a faker, so we can do the data type, and there is UID, nice, import, cool, and username, okay, faker, name, and there will be find name, I think they call it, yes, also email, just watch me how I'm typing now. It's the country, so country is actually in the space of addresses, and country, department, what we will use for department, so there is a company, company and company name, okay, why not, and the division, and I think you are all excited to see if it will still blank or not. Name and the job area, me too. So we generate random data, then we put put the overrides on it. And now let's see if it lands on it. So I did not touch the test at all. I only changed the static data to random, and my tests are still passing. What I did now, if I add new attribute to this user, my tests will not fail anymore. Any question?
Well, you are just matching the purpose you are interested in, so
Yes.
it doesn't really matter whatever you generate here, right? Because the test would pass anyway.
Yes.
But you will test that any kind of user will pass via update function.
My test is about the division can be changed, and that's what I test. And if I extend the user in a table in database, it will not fail my tests, which are testing just the department. If I want to test more attributes, I can just write more unit tests for it and check each attribute. But now it's extendable. So if I want to add new field, I can have it in 1 day in the code base, and I can have it in 7 days in the tests, because I will need to adjust all the aspects, all the matches which I have all over the tests. So
can you maybe go back to the test implementation?
okay, yes.
So create user online 24. Why are you adding the division name there?
So
Because now there is no randomness. If
yes.
you delete these 2 lines, if you just create the user, there will be some random data, and then this random data will change to IT.
Yes, nice catch. That's actually another improvement, because exactly, we have random inputs, but still in the test we are testing the concrete data. So what we can do, we can just say, okay, let's use a company name. I will import Faker, and what I need to do, wait, what was there before? Yeah.
You
Not-
want to
not
change
here.
the update data.
Yeah, update data. This was fine. And what I can do, I can just assert that division name from the input here. It's same. So even now I have random data. It writes empty strings. It tries big strings. It tries everything, even some UTF characters, emojis, whatever. And now I will test that all that pass. And just do it. Don't talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. Still blends.
Unless the faker generates exactly the same name like you have originally generated.
Yeah. So yeah, I think now is the good time to show you what data actually it generates. So I will show you what the data are and run the tests, because the data are actually changing over time. So you can see that my input look like this. So there is username is Devin Flatley, email is phyllis@yahoo.com, country Malawi, or for the first test case there is Elmer Bali. Okay, I'm not trying to read it, but these are the data. If I write one more, the data will be different. It's random. So it's not static anymore. And what can happen to you if you have such data in your continuous integration, that it will eventually find a bug with empty string, for example, or true is not false anymore, or you have null instead of string, and you want to go and basically replicate it on your machine, so you can actually fix it with your debugger and see what is going on. For that, I will switch to this presentation and how to make the test replicable. So basically, Do you know what is pseudo-random generator? Hands. So not enough. Okay. So basically, if you want to generate some random data, you can have true random generators, which could be some isotopes doing something on the cameras, and you will get some like super random data which are used for cryptocurrencies and such. It's just simplified variant. And you can have it almost random, which you will provide some starting value, and then you will just keep adding same number all the time, but it would round to some patterns. So basically it would be like 1, 3, 7, 10, and then it would start again, but with 2, 4, 6, and then you will go over, so you will have some static segments of the numbers which are repeatable, and the numbers are repeatable because you can provide some input seed, and this is basically this faker seed. So if you notice that I'm actually providing this faker seed in the console. So if I take no, I didn't want that. So let's wait. I will take none, and if I put here in front as environment variable, it should generate me for Pauline Rempel. Should be again here. I didn't. Yeah, Pauline Rempel is still here because I give the number, the starting number, so the data are repeatable. So if my CI fail in 2 days with some data, I will take this value, put it on my machine, replicate the issue with the fake data. And what is good, it's good to provide also the guidance for the developers how to work with that, because the juniors will come and they will run the continuous integration and they will be complaining 2 days that it's failing and they have no idea why. So it's good to put there the README, how to replicate the test, so you have more time for self. So that's what we have in our documentation, how to use it, what is faker, blah blah blah, and this is printed with every test. Any question?
Has it actually ever happened to you that you used faker? Do you actually use faker in your practice?
Yes.
Has it
For
actually?
6 years, 7, no, if I count even previous company, it's like 11 years with random data in tests.
Has it ever happened that it worked fine locally and then faker throws
Yes.
some data in the CI
Yes.
and it failed?
Yes.
And what kind of errors? Like
So we call it a flaky test.
Mhm.
It's the general term for randomly failing test. So we go, take the seed, run it locally, replicate and fix.
So it's normally just because some different data and this data got the edge case, right?
Yes.
Can you give examples
Yeah.
of those 2,
Ah,
3, 4?
Okay, so if you write it on the React component, so you will put there some input or you want to display some text, but it does not fit the screen, or it's just shrinked after 50 characters. So it might happen that your input will be longer than you want, and your test should find that it's shrinked instead of or other case. What happened to us? It's that basically we get null value somewhere instead of string, or that we get some ASCII character
No.
in the input, which will not pass our database strictness on when inserting into database, and then it will fail the build.
So faker would do that. It would throw in
Yeah.
a weird ASCII.
Yeah, faker
Yeah,
will
so
provide the
sometimes-
data and your test will fail.
So if I like use this company name, sometimes there will be a weird character or ASCII character in this.
Might be, yes.
Okay,
You can
that's
even
cool.
like make it more random just for your case. So if you really want to have like super strings with emojis and something, just select the proper helper for you, and it will generate much more fun.
Can throw in an occasional XSS injection for like.
You can write your own helpers with the
Okay.
XSS examples, and you can use it.
I remember you told me years ago that it put in Japanese characters and Japanese dates.
That's the classic.
And it surprised the global company.
Yes, exactly. We have it in the previous company because the faker had also a lot of localization, so it's Japanese, Russian, European, Czech, all these characters he randomly pick from I don't know, like 20 different localizations and use them. So basically if you use this, you will know that your site will actually work with those locales eventually. So you are able to display them, or you will find it soon that you are not able to display them or such that. So that's also another nice case for it.
Can I have a
Yes.
question how it works in your team? I like it when I'm alone, so I know that it's my mistake, but when I create some PR and it fails.
So if it fails right away, you are so lucky that you get the wrong test right away.
Yeah, but it's not related to my changes. It's
Okay. So how we do
it's
it?
your call.
So
and
if I put it into our channel and say, okay, there seems to be a flaky test. I wrote the file name. I put the faker seed, and someone will pick it up, or I can do it later on. But it would randomly fail sometimes for us, so it starts bothering us, and it depends on your.
And you just restart the test, and with the new random data, you will probably pass.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's how you do. That's why you need to have there the seed, so you are able to replicate it easily on your machine. Okay, so let's move. If there are no more questions, so there is actually more fun coming. No, just little bit on. The tests are still not done. How to frame it? So now we make all these data manually, and now I want to show you that we usually use some schema for validations. You know, UP, ZOT, or JSON schema, or such. So all that libraries is basically you define the schema somehow and use it for validation. And there is a library which takes those definitions and generate the random inputs from that schema name. So, combining it together, I can, sorry, I will just take a look here, but I need to define, no, maybe not here. Yeah. There is a place where I have the user, yes. So, I just need to rewrite it because I will need to have here. What's the time? Good? Do we have good time?
We are on 40 minutes.
40 minutes. Ooh, okay, but I'm almost done. So, let's call it user schema. It will be kind of, it will be object from you. So, I hope you will import it. No. Okay, no. No. Almost there. I need to really write it myself. Yeah. Maybe I just didn't put it in PragueJS yet, right? So there will be some UP
You're missing a ID.
Yeah, ID. Do I miss it? Yes. But I don't. Okay, I will put here the ID. Okay. It's still string, but ID. Okay, and now I don't need to have. I don't need to have this because I want to export type. User schema and type. User schema is actually infer type from type of. I know it takes time, it's boring. But now I can do some new functionality here. It's called file user and user schema validate sync. Okay, makes sense. And validate user. Okay, now I have user defined in schema. I don't need to have type definition anymore. It's just taken from the schema name. And now if we go to our lovely generator, we can actually just write fake user schema. And it eventually should work. Let's see. There is some mistake. Did I forget something? Sorry, I will just check my. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay, that's it. Still something? Okay, there is a wrong library. So there is a library called schema faker. Yes, now it blends. So let's check the test. Nothing red. Types are fine. Let's see how are my tests. Yeah, green. Still green. Does it work actually? So what I did now, I am not maintaining the fake inputs anymore. I'm using schema definitions, which I use in the production code, and I only use this fake method and tell them, okay, so all the objects, all the properties, just fill it with some random values and give it to me. So if I add new attributes to the schema, which would apply to whole code base, the tests are still safe, and I don't need to adjust even the helpers for it. And that's okay. Okay. This is the end of the list. So any question to this?
Is it the data it takes? Is it in the library when you locally, or does it connect the server or?
No, it's all offline. It has like some collections, and there are a list of all the words and possible attributes and numbers and addresses. These patterns are there. But for each locale, I can show that. How does it look like? So they have here locale, and for example in Czech, there is Czech locale and Czech companies. No, it's not actually Czech, but name, male, last name. So Angel, Balcar, Bernard, Brada, and that's like. I think it will take time for you to see all the names. And okay, there are no questions. I will move to.
I have one more question. Do you use in your practice using that? Do you still use like snapshots
adjust something, and then the code reviewer have to take a closer look what actually changed and if that makes sense. We don't do that because it's like hard to maintain again. We just rather write the concrete stuff. So, in a summary, so with the faker-based test, you will have random inputs, you will be able to find the edge cases, you have 1000 combinations in your CI basically, so it's like almost scientific tests. You can easily replicate it, and you intentionally add actually the flaky tests to your pipeline, but they will cover your, it will help you over time, and it might find some bugs and problems, which it does for us. If we have some if statements in the code, it actually tests all the if statements usually. And if you saw my previous presentation about PragueJS from some PragueJS, so you can actually verify it and combine it with the faker and striker and it's fun. Yeah, only cons is basically you will have just one test case when you run it, compare the property based, but you run it for only integration tests. Okay, so here are the links. If you at least know a little bit Czech, I have here for blog posts about what I already said, or you can watch with Chips this presentation later on, and links to the JS Verify, and there is this, what I said, we don't need senior developers, we need senior code bases. It's interesting from Tomáš Kotruba, if you want, and rest. And promo. Our company is making in 2 weeks on 10th meetup, so you can join. There will be again me talking about something, but there are also the others, and we will talk about the communities of practice mostly in LSD. It's online, yeah, so you can scan the QR code and such, or we can talk about it later on. And if I'm right, there is almost the last slide. Yeah, we need the last one. Yes.
The last slide.
Okay, so this is the last slide. Why I do these presentations, I want feedback. So if you scan it, you can, there is simple Google form, and you can just, okay, it was terrible, and I don't want to go to PragueJS anymore. Thanks to him, or the other way. So thank you, and any questions? We really like use it.
First, thank you very much. Let's only ask one question now. Hamza will be hopefully around for
I go
break.
for a break, so we
it's
can.
a bit over time, so just one question now, and then we can ask during the break. Any question? Okay, so maybe my question actually, because this is all nice. We have a repo in our company, and we use NX, and if you use NX, you know that it has something called affected, and
Yes.
it actually speeds up the processes with that, because it doesn't rerun all the tasks which are unnecessary, and unnecessary means that it runs on any code which didn't change.
Okay.
Therefore, those tests wouldn't run randomly, because they could be in the parts of your code base which didn't change in
Yeah, but if your implementation did not change, you don't need to run the test. That's
Yeah.
what the NX is
It
good
doesn't
for.
run it like 1,000 times.
Yes.
Iteratively.
So I have plenty of solutions, but yes, if you like really don't want to run them, you don't need to. But eventually, it might end up with
Running
some
all
number.
the tests all the time.
You can have like background job or daily job or something if you want to see
That
that.
probably makes more sense.
Eventually, you can use test each and make 100 randomization in the
Yeah,
test
yeah,
itself.
That's also possible, yeah.
Like,
That's a good idea. But yeah, having some detached cron just for running the tests randomly, it's probably a good idea.
yeah.
Thank you. So guys, we're gonna have one extra presentation. It's gonna be a short one, I promise. And then the plan is to go to the pub. As usual, we're gonna go to a nearby pub called, and Carol knows the name, I forgot it. I think it's Klempierna actually. I think that some of you were already there, so please join us. Now let's have like 5 minutes break, last talk, and we can go. Thank you.